What's up, y'all? It's Riley McPherson back with Unbridled Faith. I got my buddy here, Brian. We're actually at his gym, so if you hear some beating, banging, and clanging, it's just people working out. So I'm just going to let Brian introduce himself, and we're going to get started today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Nichols, and I own Making Iron Fitness in Lafayette.
Yeah. So, all right, Brian. So you was telling me earlier that you used to be a mechanical engineer. I guess you still are, but so tell us a little bit about the story of how Making Iron started.
Well, the only thing I've ever been good at is lifting weights. And I fell in love lifting weights with Coach Cochran back in high school.
Okay, yeah.
And so the story of Making Iron, I got out of school, got a mechanical engineering degree, and I spent 30 years as a mechanical engineer, which made a lot of money, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But my dream, as crazy as it was to own my own gym.
Yeah.
But, you know, I never would pull the trigger. I kept thinking, well, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next year, whatever. Yeah. And one day, I come in May of the beginning of 2017. Okay. I went into work. They called all the management in, and they got rid of a bunch of the upper management. And because they put a plant in the Middle East. Okay. And they were also, you know, times were slow. Yeah. So one thing led to another. So I come out of that meeting and I'm like, man, you know, I was counting the people and I'm like, you know, man, my days are numbered. Right. So I went in, I sat down at my desk. I hadn't sat down maybe 5 minutes, and one of my buddies, Harley Timms, he called me and he lives in Lebanon. He goes, hey, I want to sell my equipment. He goes, I was thinking about you. He goes, why don't you buy it and open you a gym in Lafayette like you've talked about for as long as I've known you? And I thought, well, I said, let me come look at it. So then I go to lunch, and for 30 years I had worked out at a place in Lebanon. Okay. I walk in, and I started seeing all these little stickers on all the equipment. Yeah. So I went to the lady that owned it, Miss Peggy, and I said, Miss Peggy, what's all them stickers? And she goes, we're selling all that stuff, Brian. We're going to replace it with new stuff. She goes, why don't you buy it all and open you a gym in Macon County where you've talked about?
So is this the same day?
The same day.
Oh my gosh.
At 8:30 in the morning, give or take a minute, and at 11 o'clock, give or take a minute. I had two people that I had known for years that I'd worked out with Harley, and Miss Peggy owned the gym that I worked out at. And she was blunt. Both of them said, you know, you've talked about opening your own gym. Why don't you do it? And so I come back from lunch, and I'm like, you know, they've got rid of my boss and some other people, and I've got two people telling me to open my own gym, which was my dream. So I got home, I told Brandy, and I said, you know, what do you think? And she goes, I think God's telling you to follow your dream. Yeah. And to buy the stuff. So bought both sets, moved it into my mama's garage, and we rented the first half of Making Iron, which was a frame shop. So I pulled all that stuff in.
So it was half of
this was half this building. Okay. This building, it was the left side. It was 102 Church. Okay. So I put all that stuff in there. I opened it up May 1st of 2017. I opened Making Iron, and it was the tiny little gym.
Just like right here.
It was just this one half. I had 4 old treadmills. I had couple of old bikes, and just a sprinkling of equipment. Well, January of 2018, I walk in, and 2 weeks shy of my 30th anniversary, they give you the dreaded pat, come with me. So I go in there, and, you know, they're like, you know, we hate to do it, but, you know, we've got to let you go. So they handed me a box, and I walked out 2 weeks shy of 30 years. Wow. So the whole way home, I was honestly kind of relieved.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because you kind of felt like it was coming. And when it came, the whole way home, I'm like, well, you know, I sat down and talked to Brandy. And I said, you know, I can get a job as an engineer. Right. But, you know, I just feel like the gym is, I want to give it a shot. Yes. And if it fails, then I can, you know, then I've still got my degree hanging on the wall. Oh, yeah. And so
something you can fall back on.
So we agreed to do it. Well, my thinking on that was, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all in. Yes. I'm going to jump in head first. So in my mind, if I build it, they'll come.
Yeah.
Like in Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
So we rented this other side had just came open for rent. I rented this side. We blew 3 doors in the walls. I took all my severance package for 30 years, and I bought brand new treadmills. I bought more ellipticals. I bought new bikes, and I bought a slew of new equipment, and they came.
Wow.
And so for 2018, we officially opened the second side. I basically worked out May of 2018 was our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
On my 1 year anniversary, it went from 4,500 square feet to 9,000. This building's 9,000 square feet. So we're starting to pick up steam.
Yeah.
COVID hits.
Oh, the dreaded COVID.
So the reason I'm talking about that was, so boom, I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death.
Well, you've done all this, and you're like, oh my gosh, here comes COVID. Small business owner, it's
small businesses were getting hammered.
Yes.
And and a lot of people canceled because a lot of people lost their job.
Right.
But a lot of people didn't. So I was closed for 6 weeks, and strange as it was, on May 1st of 2020, which was my 3-year anniversary, the state said you can open back up.
That's
so
cool.
I had this place spotless. I get a phone call. This is just a quick story about the faith part. I get a phone call from one of my buddies, and he's like, man, somebody's broke in the gym. And so, a lot of places a lot of people were just scared to death of COVID.
Yes.
They didn't want anything open back up.
No.
So I come home, I come barreling down here, and I'm like, what's going on? I walk around the very back where you just seen, and flip the lights on, and it was about 35 of my core members. They had a big cake, and they were like, congratulations, you've made it through COVID.
That's awesome.
So then we're back there, and I'm like, man, that's just like the world's off my shoulders. I'm opening back up. People start pecking on the window. At 1 a.m., people start coming up here to join.
Oh my goodness!
And so
awesome.
we signed up. We stayed up here till about 3, signing people up, and people working out that hadn't been here in 6 weeks.
Wow!
And the next morning, when I officially got to open back up, I was lucky enough to be on Channel 2. Kayla Anderson did an interview with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Vic Donahoe set that up. Thank you, Vic. But I got an interview from, the little guy that managed to make it through COVID.
Oh, wow.
And so on my 3-year anniversary, here we are. And then now I just celebrated my 6-year anniversary, which we've completely redone the building.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Yeah, the whole outside looks completely different. It looks really good, by the way. So tell us about the logo on what Making Iron is about, like the name.
Making Iron was just, I kind of come up with that. I loved it. The Bible verse, it's a Bible verse. I don't own it. And I didn't come up with that. It was suggested to me by a guy. And, Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. And it hit me because the whole deal with a gym is the hardest thing is to get somebody off the street into here. Yeah. Because the mindset a lot of people have of a gym is it's just full of a bunch of, lug heads. It's dirty. There's nobody in here. That everybody in this gym looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that's just, and people
people do think that,
people walk in and they're like, if somebody's laughing, they're laughing at me. No, it's, you've got to, everybody starts somewhere. But long story short, I wanted to convey, hey, Making Iron is not just a thing for meatheads. Right. And I felt like that in my mindset this was my dream. And so I wanted to not only open a gym, but I could really make this gym successful if I could help people and not just, hey, here's some weights, go lift them. Right. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned is, there's a lot of people that, this is their therapy. Yeah, this is their mind. This is how they clear their mind.
Right. Well, tell us a little bit about that. Tell us what's the most rewarding thing about, like, maybe seeing somebody that's like set a goal to lose weight or set a goal to,
You see people come in here, they're so scared, they're so scared about, they're overweight, they feel bad, and they feel like, there's just no hope. Yeah. This society,
Yeah.
This society is built that, they want the beautiful people.
Oh, yeah.
And they want the, the bodybuilders.
Yep.
They want the size 1
Yep.
ladies.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But the average person, no matter what, is ever going to achieve either one of those.
Right. No, I mean,
And that's not, you can do anything, but there's only so many people can be 6'3", 250 pounds.
My husband.
There's just, if I'm 5'7", I'll never be 5'8".
Right, yeah.
And so people come in here and they're like, I need to change. They're beat down. Mm-hmm. This world is a hard world.
Yeah, it is.
And if you don't latch on to something, and mine has always been lifting. Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, I was a little butterball. Mm-hmm. And then I found lifting. I lost a bunch of weight. It helped my self-esteem.
Yeah.
I found I was good at it.
Yeah.
I put on some muscle. I started competing.
Yeah.
And, boom, my self-esteem went up.
Yeah.
And, I'm 54.
So you get to see people do kind of
what you're saying. You get to see people come in and they're like, after a month, man, I feel great, or they'll come in and they're like, I went from a large to a medium.
That's so cool. So you get into like that, well, and that lifts you up too.
It does, and it helps me because my thinking is, if you're feeling better, then you're able to do stuff with your kids. You're able to live a lot longer life.
Yes.
I'm 54 years old, and I feel great. I've spent all these years lifting.
Right.
And there's mornings I kind of pop when I roll out of bed. But I mean, I do. Everything on me still pops.
No, I'm cracking up because it reminds me of like my dad, because you and him was good buddies growing up.
Yeah.
And he's got something wrong with his elbow. And so every time I think of like that, I'm thinking of like Dad, because he's kind of the same way.
There's people who come in here and they have trouble, just getting out of a chair. And you see them, boom, they bounce in here. Like, man, I feel great. I love this place.
That's so
and
good.
it helps mentally.
Yeah.
It helps. It just lets you clear your mind.
Yeah.
You get off, you've had a terrible day, everything's went wrong, you can go home, you can get in front of a bag of cookies and eat your sorrows away, you can drink your sorrows away, there's a lot of things you can do. You come in here, you go in there, you hammer a good workout, you walk on that treadmill for 30 minutes, you get done, and you're like, well, hey, it's not quite as bad as I thought.
Right. And
I thought the world, I thought the world was crashing when my drive from Lebanon, after 30 years, my drive to Lebanon was I was making almost 6 figures.
Wow.
And I'm like, I got a kid in college, a kid in high school.
Yes.
I got what am I going to do? And I'm the first to tell you, I wasn't strong enough to follow my dream. I kind of got shoved into it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think God does that to us sometimes. He's like, okay, I'm trying to tell you something. Okay, well, if you're not going to listen here, kind of do it. But
I can tell you another quick story. There's a lot of things. I've tried. One thing I've never been afraid to fail, because I've failed.
Yeah.
I've pursued other careers, and I'm like, this ain't the brightest. This ain't for O'Brien. It's not. This is not what I'm meant to do.
Well, some people it's just like that.
And there's other jobs I've tried to get, and one job they're like, you're overqualified. I'm like, how am I overqualified? But,
I guess that's a good quality to have.
You're overqualified. Then there's another job. Well, you don't have exactly, so one thing leads to another.
Right.
But I always wanted to be a trainer, and I always wanted to own my own gym. And I was lifting one day, and there was a time, I'm just straight up with y'all. There was a time I couldn't have been a trainer.
Really?
I could not have opened Making Iron and it had been a success.
I got you.
Because my mindset was at that time in my 30s was like, I wanted, all I knew how to do was just the heavy lifting.
Right.
I couldn't have trained a woman or an older person because I'll be honest with you, I would look down on them. I'd be like, you don't deserve to be in this weight room. I was one of those. I'm the first to tell you. I'm the first to tell you I was one of those. And I got under a weight I'd done 1,000,000 times, and I blew my shoulder out.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't raise my arm. And so for 10 months, I couldn't hardly raise a fork to eat with my right arm.
Wow.
And so I had on my 40th birthday, I was under anesthesia getting my shoulder rebuilt. And so I went back to Sports Village, after they kind of somewhat released me, and it was the lowest point of my lifting career. I could only handle a 3-pound dumbbell with my right arm. And I had to go into the room that I just used to make fun of. And them little old ladies were like, Brian, what do you need? And I said, ma'am, I really need that 3. And she handed me that little 3, and I took it with my bad arm, and I caught it with my good one, and I sat there and worked. I started back with a 3-pound dumbbell and a broom. I would go in there and bench on the bench with a broom.
Yeah.
And God, the one thing I felt like I was really good at, God took away from me, which was my shoulders, my lifting.
Yeah.
And for 10 months, I couldn't do it. And when I had to start back, I had to start back from the bottom and build back up. And it taught me that, it taught me humility. God taught me humility with it.
Yeah.
These 4 anchors and 8 cables taught Brian a lot of humility.
Wow.
And so then I started, appreciating. I appreciated the ability to lift weights.
Yes.
I appreciated the ability to sit down and pick up a fork and feed myself. I appreciated washing my hair because I was having to do everything like that.
Yes.
And that's why I think, so that happened. Then, flash forward a few years, the gym happens, and they merged into, I'm still not perfect, but I appreciate these people walking off the street that can only do a 5-pound dumbbell because God showed me, buddy, you're one little accident away from that.
Right.
And he taught me humility, and that, that kind of folded into the gym. And so I think that's what, I think that's one thing that's really helped me because I can now feel what these people feel walking in. I can remember walking in. I wasn't a big peacock no more. I was walking in, with my little arm dangling.
And you're like, And
I'm like, I'm in the room I didn't want to be in.
Yes, definitely.
So I got back in the big room with the big weights. But I'm just honest, that's you've got to, you've got to appreciate, and I appreciate it. I appreciate every day getting to get up, put shorts on, no more suits, and come in here and be with the people I love to be with.
Wow, that's really neat. So, tell us what God does through this place.
Well,
I know you do the angel tree, but
the deal with the angel tree was the first year I was open on both sides. You came to me and said,
"Oh yeah,
would you do a little angel tree for the housing authority?"
Yeah.
And we did. Best I remember, we did like 15, 18 angels, and we filled them. And I thought, man, that's great. So then the next year, it was like we're just going to use just you, and I filled, I think, like 30 angels, and through doing those and I got a lot of high school kids. I got a lot of high school kids in here, and they come, and that's one thing. I'm able to get a lot of these kids, and a lot of these kids come in and they feel, they're loners. You'll see them by themselves. They'll come in, and I'm able to help them. But the angel tree has just blossomed.
Yeah, well, you've made it like, it kind of just started, there at the beginning, whenever we was working with you at the housing authority, but then you've made it just explode. So how many did you have last year, Brian?
Last year I had about 60 angels.
That's awesome.
I got invited I got asked to be in Rotary.
Yeah.
So I got in Rotary through Making Iron. And Rotary's really good about helping. So Rotary does 2 coat drives. We do a coat drive for Red Bull and a coat drive for Lafayette. The angel tree is spawned into this year. We're going to do 2 trees.
Okay.
And hopefully, maybe even 3. But, the members are wonderful. It's all through the members.
Right.
But the thing I appreciate is I don't take for granted, hey, I've got this business and it, and it does good. But it's a niche. And what I wanted to do was take a niche, which weightlifting is a niche. I wanted to take it mainstream.
Yes.
I wanted to make Making Iron not just something that, somebody's like, well, that's a gym. That's why it was important for me to try to get out in the community and show, hey, this, Making Iron, this is kind of the people we got. We got a lot of great members. When I set that angel tree up, within about a day, they're all gone.
Wow.
All these members come in, people bring their kids in.
Yeah.
And it's not me doing it. It's just,
you're just a vessel.
Making Iron kind of gave me a platform.
Yeah.
And I don't take it for granted. I try anything I see in the community. If somebody calls me and says, "Hey, can you or your members help?" I try to do it. because, you know, I feel like in a split second, you know, a business, and I tell this to everybody, a small business is going to survive or it's going to sink by the owner.
Oh, I agree.
You know, if you can be making money hand over fist, but if
Yeah.
they don't feel like you're giving back or helping, you know, it can be taken away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. Well, it just kind of that reminds me of like your shoulder. Talking about your shoulder. I mean, it's kind of a
shoulder got blown.
Yeah.
You know, it got blown. You know, in one split second, I went from benching. I was benching 315 to benching a 3-pound dumbbell, and that's the truth. I went from squatting.
I could just see you in there.
You know, I went from squatting. I was hitting 315 on bench, and I was squatting 495.
Wow.
And that's where that was 14 years ago, and before everything broke. But in one split second, it was it. I could, you know, I tell my wife, you know, we talk about this a lot of time. You know, I am obsessed with lifting. I have been. I just am. I have coveted. You know, it was probably my biggest vice was, you know, my wife don't worry about me cheating on her. She worries about me cheating with the iron because I'm here all the time. But, you know, this is just what I love to do.
Yeah.
And it, like I said,
You're passionate about it.
God took it away from me and rebuilt me, you know.
He's got to do that, though, sometimes, I think.
You know.
So, yeah. I mean, I really do. I think he has to do that to us to get us in a... He's got to mold you, take some stuff away, make sure you got those character defects gone.
See, something I seen Sunday, talking about that, you know.
Yes.
If God, you know, I seen this Sunday, Cameron Miller did a sermon Sunday, and it said, if God's not pruning you, he doesn't see potential in you.
Yep.
And I feel like, you know, honestly, I feel like he's always pruning me because I got a lot of pruning. I got a lot of thorns.
I do too.
I got a lot of. I got a lot of faults, but I do feel like, you know, all the years I was a member, I was an engineer. I enjoyed it. I made a lot of money. I got a lot of friends. You know, all those guys at Perm Pipe and Ladies. You know, the woman that sat beside me 30 years, my wife, Brandy calls her my work wife. You know. I've sat beside her for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean,
and she's a lifter. She was a Marine, and she's a lifter. And you know, but it's just, you know, I did not give back or do a whole lot all the years I really had the money to do it. I didn't. I just took my money, and you know, we had a big house and a nice car, and I did not give back. And you know, I got broke down. You know, then I lost my job. I opened Making Iron, and Making Iron, point blank, all small businesses are contingent on people.
Oh, 100%.
We're contingent on
100%.
people.
Yes.
And so
your clients, your people, because that's your, you know, that's your.
You have got to appreciate your clients, your core people, and you know, they make the way they supported me through COVID, the way they support me, you know, the way they support me in everything I try to do, you know, it makes me feel good, and it makes me want to keep doing because I feel like, you know, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
You know, Colby Lane comes in here.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Colby. Me and Colby, I used to babysit Colby. That tells you how old I am. But, you know, I used to babysit Colby.
Yeah.
But, you know, I watch Colby come in here, and I watch the things he does for people helping them in recovery.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it makes me want to try to, you know, and I don't do anything on the level he does.
But
you know, you do a lot.
Well,
but you know, it makes me want to. If somebody comes to me and says, "Can you do this?" It makes me want to try.
Yes, definitely. Even if you don't succeed, at least you're trying. And I think that's neat because it's like, you know, speaking of Kobe, you know, he has such a relationship with Jesus, and I'm sure there's been several times where he's been able to share that here. And you know, maybe if somebody don't know Jesus or don't know God, you know, that gives y'all the opportunity to talk to somebody about it. You know,
pretty much. I don't, you know, I don't really try to bring up religion in the gym because you know that's a slippery slope.
No, but I'm saying like show them like your kindness and your.
But what I have tried to do is, you know, if somebody needs something, I try to give it to them.
Exactly. And
then that makes somebody else, you know, maybe makes them want to take that step and do something.
Exactly. So, okay, what would you say to somebody that would want to branch out and follow their dream and chase their dream, kind of like how you did, Ryan?
Well, you know, I'm the first one to tell you I didn't get out of the boat. You know,
I never thought.
You know,
I didn't get out the boat.
You know, I didn't get out of the boat. You know, and I'm clearly not the best person that can quote scripture. But I didn't get out of the boat. The boat, a big wave hit the boat. It throwed Brian in the water.
And you said, swim!
And Brian said, well, I can't swim. I really can't. I can swim.
You can't swim?
I can swim, but when I get tired, all this sinks.
Oh, bless.
It sinks. And so when that wave hit the boat and it threw old Brian out, it was either sink or swim.
Yeah.
And I swam and I grabbed on the log, which was making iron, and we just we rode it on out.
Hey, well,
but
right.
And everything's about timing too.
Yeah.
A lot of years.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, somebody ought to open a gym. You ought to ought to open a gym. You ought to do this. You ought to do that. And I had you have a dream, and there's a million businesses I could open, and they would all fail because I'm not passionate about it. I don't understand it.
Right.
I can't cook, so I couldn't open a restaurant.
Yeah. Leave that to your wife. The cupcakes, please.
There's just if you want to open a business, you have got to love that business.
Exactly. It's like
like a baby.
Saying, your niche. Like I'm not good at like lifting. I'm not all about working out, but like I know dogs.
See.
And that's like my thing. Like I understand dogs. I understand whatever, and like that's my niche. So like I get it 100%.
And that's what makes the businesses that succeed.
Yeah.
9 out of 10. Now sometimes you can catch a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
And you can ride that thing and and you'll win with it.
Right.
But most businesses, when you look around and you see businesses whether small or large, somebody loves that business.
Yeah. What makes you think of Allie too?
They love their business. We've got Shebros, we've got 615,
yep.
we've got Making Apartment.
Yep.
We got Brady Flores.
Yeah,
we got Jordan and BB. We got Chris Frum. A lot of barbers.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to think of members.
Right.
But everybody that I know that owns a small business that's thriving, they love that business.
Yes.
I couldn't cut hair.
No.
I couldn't sell clothes. I can't cook. So.
They could.
So I basically, this
Right.
is what I know.
Right.
And this is what I stay in. I stay in my lane, but I understand my lane.
Exactly.
I have always said, bodybuilding, weightlifting, it is a subculture.
I got you.
You have to understand it, and if you can understand it, you can understand the people that want to lift,
Right.
the people that want to get big, people that want to cut
I got
weight.
I got you.
And once you understand, I understand this business.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's why it thrives because, I think it thrives because I understand and I love it.
Right.
This is like a kid to me.
Yeah.
When my daughter, my son got married and left. My daughter went to college. Making iron. This became my baby.
Yep.
And again, it's timing.
Yeah.
When they were little, I wouldn't have been able to do the timing.
Exactly.
Because I'm here all the time, but I love it. But
Exactly.
you don't
feel like you're at work either.
No, I feel like I get up every day and I feel like I'm cheating. I feel like I'm living a dream. I run around town in shorts and tennis shoes and
do your
these
stuff.
little Making Iron t-shirts.
These little Making Iron t-shirts.
If I dress up, I got
Something going on.
I got this pretty blue one I keep for special occasions.
Well, okay. If somebody wants the gym membership, Brian, what do they do?
They just call me. They
Okay.
come in here. I'm here. I'm in and out all day.
Okay.
They just give me a call.
All right.
But I hope I hope we've entertained you. I
Yeah.
hope
Oh, we
and
definitely
like I
have,
said,
for
in the end, the biggest thing I hope that people take from this, if you got a dream, chase it.
Yeah.
But but it may take you 5 or 6 or 7 years.
Exactly.
It
To
took
do
me
it.
30 years.
Yeah.
To get here. And like I said, when I look, there's a whole lot of things that hit me to teach me and mold me.
Right.
God pruned me
Yeah.
for all these years.
Exactly.
And I, before I get out, I got my son, God love him, he went everywhere with me. Him and a bunch of my buddies went everywhere loading this stuff up, because when I first opened, I didn't have no money. So we were trying to load, 1,000-pound machines on pickup trucks.
Yes.
We had one break on the side of the road. The straps broke on the side of the road. It was hard. But my son, some of my friends, and I don't want to name them without knocking some of them out, but I'd leave some out. But
Right.
they helped me, get to here.
Right.
And my wife, you know, my wife, every harebrained scheme I ever come up with, you know, when I decided I wanted to run for school board. I got, you know, I did. When I decided I wanted to run for city council, you know, I did.
Yeah.
And she
Behind
would
you
just,
every step of the
she
way.
would look at me and she'd be like, you know, you're a fool. But she would do it. You know, when I wanted, you know, I left a, you know,
I can just see right now.
You know.
If that's what you want to do, but I don't
That's
know
what
about
she
it,
said.
guys.
That's what you want to do, but I ain't going on them meetings. And she said, when we go out in public, I'm going to walk 10 foot behind you so that nobody yells at me like they do you. Which,
I can totally see it. You go down that aisle, Walmart, I'll be down this aisle.
But, you know, when I opened Making Iron, you know, I went from, you know, on a dime on a Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, on a Thursday, I was making $29 an hour. And on time I went in on a Thursday and I was making $29 an hour. Time I come home the next morning, I was not making $29 an hour. And, you know, she could have very easily said, you know, well, you know, this job right here offered you a job for $24. You know, this Making Iron thing is going to make $4. You know, but she's like, you know, no. She when both of those phone calls came in back to the beginning, and you know, she was just like, this is, you know, you've worked 30 years, you've got us to this point. She goes, you know, chase your dream, and she probably jumped out of that boat that threw me out. She has more. My wife has a lot more faith than I do.
That shows. I think that's awesome though, because that shows her faith in you too, because she sees how passionate and stuff you are about it. For sure.
She pretty much brought me. You know, I went years and years and years without going to church because, you know, things happened. I did not go like I should. I got obsessed with working. I was working 7 days a week, and she kind of brought me back to the, you know, to religion.
Right.
But like I said, she never, you know, I try to give her credit. She won't do anything like this.
Right.
But, you know, you gotta, if your partner is sitting there saying, you know, no, you can't do this, you're not gonna do it.
No, no.
And they, you know, they may think it's the dumbest thing ever, but she was like, you know, we can make a living, you know, owning a gym.
Yes.
She said, you can do it. And the people, and that's what I tried also. I always give credit to members. The members are what allow me this job, and I don't forget it.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
And I love what you're doing. This is great. You know, if somebody watched us today and they're like, you know, I got a dream, hey, follow it.
Yes, for sure.
Because you can't be afraid to fail. Now that being said, don't go out and borrow $1 million on something that's going to make you $100.
Exactly. But if it's something that's like you're needing I don't know. I just think you got a great story because it's a faith story. I mean, even you saying, I pretty much got thrown out of the boat.
I got thrown out of the boat.
Yeah, but you went and you done it.
And you know, and you just sometimes when it's quiet, you know, you just got to kind of hear that voice, and and you can feel it too. I had come to the point at Perm Pipe. I'm like, you know, I need to do something different.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
And then when I heard the Godsmack of two people telling me, hey, you want to buy my equipment? You know, and I was lucky. You know, I did it.
Right.
But, you know, hey, follow your faith. And again, if you're getting pruned, you know, it's just because God's making you into something better.
That's right. I completely agree. All right. Well, do you care to close us out in a prayer, Brian?
No. I just say, you know, dear Lord, I want to thank you for this. Thank you for Briley and all that she does to try to spread your word. Thank you for the ability to live my dream. And, dear Lord, if somebody's listening and they want to follow their dream, please guide them and help them to fulfill their dream so that they can motivate somebody else to follow their dream. Thank you, dear Lord. Amen.
Amen. All right. Bye, y'all.